desktop build is a Ryzen 7 2700, 32GB of DDR4 RAM, 500GB M.2 Western Digital Blue SSD, and a 500GB SATA Western Digital Blue SSD, and then finally a 1TB SATA Western Digital Blue hard drive. What you see is a server that has been built over the past few years as my old desktop, converted into my home server. The drives behind there I'll get into later, but it is in Western Digital EasyStore 10TB, a Western Digital MyBook 4TB, and a Western Digital EasyStore 1TB. And I'll get into those here in just a couple minutes, but those are passed directly through to a virtual machine running Open Media Vault. Now let's jump into the actual system itself. Being seed in, you can see that I have first pulling up the NAS box. The NAS box, like I said, is running Open Media Vault, which is based on Debian 10. You see the performance is very low. Open Media Vault is very lightweight. It even runs on a Raspberry Pi. Root disk is only 5 gigs. Now you see where I'm passing through each USB device. Those are the 3 hard drives you saw behind the computer. And they're just passed directly through using the USB pass-through. And now let's take a look at the next VM, which is the video rig. This is my machine where I connect to over RDP, which is just a simple rig that I use for recording certain videos on Linux desktop. Because running a VM, I like to have it as a VM that I can just remote into. As you see, small disk, 50 gigs. Everything else is just very much default. And it uses a Spice server for when I connect through for the console. Next is my web box. WebDev, it's just a CentOS Linux 8 with a limp stack, basically, Nginx, MySQL, and that's really it in PHP. Not much to talk about on this box, very small. And then lastly, my Windows 10 gaming rig. As you can see, it's got the tiny core because the UEFI boot, Windows 10. Then we have, of course, the boot drive, a game drive on an SSD, and then what I call a spinning Rust, which is for games that don't need to have an SSD, passing through the NVIDIA graphics card and the sound device for that graphics card that allows us to connect to it directly and play the games. You had to have pass through the whole graphics card in order to play the games, otherwise it's just crap. 8 gigabytes and then 8 cores spliced out for the topology that works best for the VM. And first I want to go ahead and take a minute to pull up the machine. We're going to jump into the Windows box really quick first. I'm just pulling it up via Parsec. That's my choice of streaming over my local area network, the LAN. It allows very low latency and great gaming over LAN, and even if you have a really good upload, it's good for that too. So pulling it from my ultra wide, so let's go ahead and go into the settings and get this to take the client resolution. All right, let's go ahead and try let's bring it to 1080p so we can actually see it correctly. Here we go. So as you see, it's full Windows 10 V. That's the full Windows 10 experience. Let's go ahead and launch Minecraft. I think that'd be a good game to show off here. And again, this is being played on a virtual machine with the 1650 graphics card. And both the games and the OS is on an SSD or provisioned QCal disks on an SSD. So they're pretty fast, the Western Digital Blue SSDs. All right. No, not single. Let's go to multiplayer. Mellowcraftia, that's my personal game server. So let's go ahead and jump in there. You can't hear the audio because it's going through my headphones, but audio pass-through on Parsec is beautiful. It's real time. I hear exactly what I should be hearing. I sadly did not pass through the desktop audio on this recording. Looks like there's a bunch of zombies out here, so let's just run around and show you. The performance is amazing. It's as if I'm playing directly on the computer or if I'm have a monitor hooked up, and this is why I use Parsec, because I can use any machine in the house, a Chromebook or even my Pinebook Pro Well, Parsec worked on MyBook Pro. But anything that's lightweight enough that can run the Parsec app streams just fine. I can use my mobile phone as well. Just look around, look at my skin here, show you that everything looks great. Let's go ahead and disconnect from this. There's one other thing I want to show. This is something that might be something in the future I want to try, but it's to run VR from this virtual machine. So I have up here the Steam Valve tester tool that checks to see if you actually can do this or not. And as you see, it will check, but there's one issue, and it says it's my graphics card. And I did some research. It's because my graphics card does not have DisplayPort. So I'm pretty sure if I upgrade my graphics card, I might be able to get this to run. So stay tuned for a future video on that. I think that's going to be really cool. But that is the Windows 10 machine. I have different games on here and I can play them anytime. So let's go ahead and jump back to the VNC box. So I want to take a look at the, so you can see where we were just on the machine doing some stuff, so it caused the CPU to go up. Let's look at the NAS box next. So in order to look at the NAS box, I first want to show you how I manage internal DNS over the home network. So let me pull up a browser here. Just pulling it up on my other screen here. New Chrome tab. All right. And okay, so now I'm just gonna, nope, doesn't want to drag over because VNC is in full screen. Okay, so let's drag this over. Gosh, I need to learn Mac better. Okay, here we go. And let's blow this up to full screen. So I use Pi-hole, and it actually runs on a Raspberry Pi 3, by the way. So Pi-hole.land, because the new version of Pi-hole actually supports letting you create local DNS records. And of course, Google's going to redirect me because land's not normal. And as you see right here, this is the latest version of Pi-hole. Like I said, the latest version lets you create your own internal DNS records. So here I have my Open Media Vault server as openmediavault.lan. Gonna log in here real quick and show you the disks that are passed through here. So there's a password tray here. Okay, disks. All right. So here are the 3 disks, the USB disks that are passed through to this virtual machine. As you see, they're all showing up here. The 4 terabyte, the 10 terabyte, and the 1 terabyte. And then I'm going to show you I have SIFTshare set up. One's running the Time Machine for my Mac to back up. That's the 1 terabyte. And then EasyStore and MyBook, respectively, the 10 and 4 terabyte machines. So that's how I have my storage set up. So I have local storage across all my devices. I also use NFS for certain other things when it's connecting to a Linux box to mount it as an actual drive. So really easy software, and I'll probably do a video on Open Media Vault in the future. Now, I just set up a port forward over SSH. This is Duplicati, also running on the Open Media Vault server. This is how I back it up. It backs up the entire NAS here. 2 B2 Backblaze. As you see, I have 2.12 terabytes of data right now, and it's compressed to 1.54 terabytes, 5 versions, and it has a daily backup at 1 a.m. that it does incremental backups, encrypted locally using Duplicati, the default encryption, to show you how easy it is to restore with this software. Just really quickly, it's going to check from the last restore, expand one of those disks. And as you see, I just select the box of what I want to restore and I hit continue, and it'd be just that easy to restore files. It really makes it quite easy to have, you know, ease of mind, out of sight. My NAS is backed up straight into Backblaze. Jumping back here, let's look at the, well, you see we were playing with the NAS server there for a moment. That does cause the spec a little bit. Lastly, let's look at the video rig. This is the rig where I do a lot of my recordings for showing you my actual Linux desktop when I'm testing stuff out for Linux. but sometimes it has some problems. So let's go ahead and try and drag over my remote desktop here, Windows Remote Desktop, because I am using XRDP. Seemed to be the most stable at the time. And yes, so this happens sometimes. Sometimes if the VM's been running or I disconnect just the right way, remote desktop doesn't disconnect. Sometimes if you try once or twice, it'll work. Let's go ahead and try one more time. Yes, doesn't look like it's gonna work. So, like I said, this happens sometimes with XRDP. I'm exploring different remote desktop options that work cross-platform. I think we're just gonna have to reboot the virtual machine. So let's jump back into the host and let's force reset. And force reset. Yep. Nothing is running on the VM anyways. It's just for me doing recordings and some testing stuff. Let's make sure it gets to the login screen. Thinking. Okay, so there we go. Now let's jump back. Yep, we need to disconnect the session because we disconnected it. Yep, connect, and there we go. Coming right up. Boots right up. Enter my password. And just like that, here we are. I've inferred you. I nicknamed it on the network Liger VM.LAN, so I name all my servers and stuff after animals most of the time. You see, I gave it 4 gigs. Everything is running very smoothly over remote desktop. I was really surprised that I can use Windows Remote Desktop. And one of the other cool things is I can connect to the remote share. So, well, local share. So right there's MyBook. Comes up. Enter my keyring password so it remembers my password for the SMB share. Thinking. Oh, got some updates. Do that later. And as you see, that is the share openmediavault.lan. As you see, here's the picture. That's the desktop background I've stored on the share. And it's just that simple. It's really awesome, and I can connect to it just like that over remote desktop. I'm still so surprised that the remote desktop protocol, I don't know, it just feels weird connecting to a Linux box with remote desktop, Microsoft's remote desktop. Okay, so let's just go ahead and jump back in here. Well, let's close out of this. We don't need this. So, last but not least, those are all my virtual machines. They are all running. And I just want to show you an HTOP real quick. As you see, with all those virtual machines running simultaneously, the system load is very low. And I'm only using a little over half of my memory. I just think this is really amazing. And the cool thing is, this weekend it's all going to change. This weekend, Proxmox. This weekend, I'm doing it live, reinstalling with Proxmox. So make sure you're subscribed to watch this weekend. Proxmox reinstall on this. I'm migrating all those VMs and setting them up under Proxmox. Proxmox seems to have the ACS patch that I need. And so I'm going to live stream me reinstalling and trying to reset up these VMs. I'm going to back them up and we're going to see if we can't make this happen. So this weekend, Saturday, if you're watching this on Thursday, it will be 3:00 p.m. Eastern time. I will have it in the description and a link to a website that'll convert it to your local time zone. Or if you just subscribe, you'll see the notification pop up on Friday morning letting you know when the stream is. So you can do it that way. Anyways, I look forward to seeing you on the live stream this weekend if you want to participate and watch, or you'll be able to see the recording afterwards because I'll go ahead and save the recording with all my fun accidents and mess ups. Anyways, thank you for watching, and goodbye.